Hi, it's Jane, and it's day 21 of 40 days of tenderness. And, I was going to change it to liberation because I was thinking about what I really desire, and I was encouraged to go big. Like, what do I really want? And I was like, I want to wake up to who I really am. I want to be awake. So I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. Within these 40 days, I want to totally wake up to the truth of who I am. That's freedom. But then I realized that's also tenderness because tenderness is being defenseless. And the only reason you defend is when you feel like you are separate. When you don't know the truth of who you are and you see some part of you as weak or unsafe or needing defense. So being able to be full of tenderness is the same thing as waking up to the truth of who you are. It's being love. So still going for that. So the card I pulled today was about children, and I didn't get that at first, and then I realized it is the same idea. Children are pure creative beings. They have healthy boundaries, and they are very clear about what they want, and yet they're full of tenderness. They're open, and they're innocent. So this came up today. It was I was looking at some. I was coming up against some realizing that I have views about I have views that other people don't agree with, and I was being challenged because I've expanded the way I see things lately. I mean, I've let go of some old structures, and what happens when you do that is you get faced with the people that believe differently. So, I mean, this came up in one of my readings. Of course, it's always easier to see in someone else. It's like she's stepping into a new story that is different from the story that she was raised with and conditioned with from not just her family but society. And so when you break out from that old story, at an energetic spiritual level, that's what the whole world wants. That's what your ancestors want. That's what society wants. It wants to evolve. But before people are ready to do that, like, someone's got to lead the way, and that person will often be feel very alone and be persecuted or like scapegoated because they are threatening the order, right? Until enough people, follow or agree, and then that becomes the new norm. But that takes a while, and I'm realizing, and I'm not making some like revolutionary shift necessarily, but I'm noticing the ways that my beliefs are changing, and that I am being faced with some sadness about, like, oh, this means I might not be accepted, like by my family, or other people that haven't changed their views on things. And well, I will share something kind of specific and very personal. But so another thing that with children is, this morning I asked, the inner child wanted some attention, and she brought me back to this experience I had when I was 16. It was the first time I had sex, and it was a pretty horrible experience, and there was a shame and I've looked at this before, but some new layers came up that were ready, I guess, to be released today. And it was, what I noticed was there was a shame of having sex with someone that, I didn't love, or that I wasn't like in a relationship with. The person was actually in a relationship with someone else. So yeah, that was more shame, a lot more shame. And then, because I was like, saw myself as this really loyal, kind of like actually righteous person, like all about justice. And I still have that, which is probably also a reaction or overcompensation for that betrayal. And then the shame of, of having sex with someone that I wasn't in love with or in relationship with, like I was taught, or by society, not by my parents. They didn't teach anything about that. But what was interesting, and those, two I are, I guess, obvious, but what was really interesting was that I also had shame about not enjoying it, because I felt like I should have, like there was something wrong with me if I didn't enjoy it. And that really just struck me. It's like, talk about a no-win situation, right? Like, I'm going to feel guilty for doing this thing, and then that I shouldn't be doing, but I'm doing because I want to explore or whatever. And then I'm going to feel guilty about not even enjoying it. Like, gosh, talk about a place where some tenderness might have been healing. So yeah, and so anyway, just on top of like yesterday's kind of inquiry about, where does it come from, right? That I don't feel, God, I'm blushing right now, that I don't feel comfortable with men, or that I feel really comfortable and I don't think I should, or whatever the case may be, and what happens if we experience life as a child does, and through the eyes of unconditional love, which does not actually operate in a system of morality. Because the real truth is always changing, and the structures and moral codes of our society don't. And when you try to change them, or you change them within yourself, you meet with resistance. So it just shows like how entrenched some of these structures are. And I think a lot of people believe, well, without the structure, like, how could we live? People would just kill people and fuck everyone. And, that kind of thinking, I think, reveals a belief about what people are actually like. And I don't believe that people are innately, I believe there's natural order, and that nature is perfect, and that means we're perfect. And what distorts that perfection is the structure that we try to put on top of what is naturally in harmony. So I believe the less we control, the better. Now, I believe that mentally, but obviously I have a hard time practicing that because I am part of this system. But I'm trying my hardest, trying without trying, to live a different way. And it is interesting to notice the resistance that comes up, not only in myself, but from other people. It's like we all ultimately want to be free. We just want to be our natural selves. But when we start to, different parts of us that are comfortable or feel safe with these very unnatural selves, but what feels normal, those parts will try to cling to that normality because of familiarity and the need for acceptance. And what's normal is no longer what is natural. So, yeah, if what's normal is to feel stressed and suppressed and like I have to compromise, and I have to be in competition, and I have to stay young and pretty to be loved, or, I have to make everyone feel good all the time before I can feel good. If that's normal, then I want to be the biggest fucking freak that ever lived. So, yep. Practicing being really tender with myself as I step more fully into embodying what I truly value and believe, and knowing that it might not always be easy. Thanks for listening.